can also kind of grasp what's going on. And maybe we can get a little direction as to the next steps that we need to take. Because this is not the last time we're going to have this conversation. We're here to support our brother Mosiah Fit. We're going to have this opportunity again to talk about those things that have impacted him, those things have impacted me, and those things that have impacted us. So I'm going to start right here. Thank you.
First of all, I want to say it's an honor and a pleasure to be here amongst my beautiful Black people, family, brothers and sisters, kings and queens. My name is Sir Terrence Broxton. I'm a transient to Baltimore from Brooklyn, New York. I got separated from my family at the age of 12. I come from a dysfunctional family involving abuse with drugs, abuse with verbal abuse, mental abuse, not having a father, having a mother who is my queen, who I appreciate bringing me into this world despite the tragedies that she had to deal with in raising a family, which is not to be compromised, as many families that we exist in has this type of background. I came to Baltimore in 1979 to take care of my grandparents. They lived on 33rd Street near Montebello, and they have since transcended. In the process of them transcending, my mother got the house. And because, for whatever reason, she decided to contest my grandfather's will, and she took everything for herself so she could continue on with her journey, and that's okay. I am on my own. I've been on my own since the age of 12. I slept on New York City subways, the A train for a year, riding from Bronx to Brooklyn to Manhattan. I knew I had to do that 2 to 3 times before I could get off. The mic went off. Oh, it's back on. Don't stop my journey. In order for me to survive, I had to be my own father. But luckily, because of my grandmother taking me to church, I knew I had a heavenly father, a universal father that could give me guidance to support. Had it not been for that thought that my grandmother planted in my head, I would not be sitting here talking to you right now. We come from a background of constantly being oppressed, constantly being in a state of disadvantage. I don't care how much money you have. I don't care where you live. Whatever level you're on, we have less than those that have already been in the race, and we were the ones that they were riding on our backs, going back not just 400 years, but 500 years. Mental health affects each and every one of us, but my main concern is how it affects the men and the young boys, especially the ones that don't know what a positive male role model is and have nothing to identify with but what they experience in life. I'm a prime example of a miracle. I'm 67 years old. I just got into a senior residency after being evicted, living in a rat-infested, bug-infested, black slumlord apartment for 20 years. And I'm still here, and I'm still functioning. My special key is this, my saying is this: the world may be your oyster, but the universe is your pearl. Allow your mind to expand, allow your mind to grow, allow your spirit to glow, your light to shine, and know that you are greater than everything around you.
Thank you. Thank you. Before we go any further, there's a silver vehicle beside the building that has to be moved. Police just said it has to be moved right away. It's a silver Nissan. I don't know if that belongs to anybody here. The other thing I wanted to say that, as part of us being here, we're trying to raise some funds for our brother Mosiah. So anybody that wants to buy a pie, take a selfie with brother, please do, because we need support for him. The other thing is his Cash App is LegalDefense365 for anybody that want to donate to the brother and assist him. Appreciate that. Go ahead. Yes, sir.
All right, thank you so much. Oh, you have one more?
Any food purchases?
Oh, yeah, I forgot to mention, if anybody's hungry, any food purchases, proceeds will go to our brother and his support for his defense fund. And thank you again.
All right,
Yes,
no
sir.
problem. Thank you. All right, my name is Phil Kendall. I'm a clinical social worker with Ascend Mental Health, so I do individual and family therapy. You asked earlier about my relationship with trauma, right? I deal with trauma every day. So a lot of people like myself as well, growing up in Baltimore City, had no clue I was dealing with trauma every day, right? Now doing it kind of in a professional sense. I also dealt with trauma and did not realize it, right? So growing up as a wide-eyed kid, and you just want to play with toys, and then you get exposed to someone who just has direct conflict with anything that's associated with happiness, right? So I have this thing I do in a clinical setting called an anger iceberg. So an anger iceberg means that on the surface we see anger, right? And that's what when we encounter someone, we see they're angry, we see they're violent, and that's all we see, right? Under the surface, that same person, the bigger part of the iceberg is dealing with emotional conflict. They're dealing with, things that happen in the house, family conflict, poverty. They're dealing with sadness, and they don't know what to do with these feelings. And I get clients that come into my office every day, and all I see is anger, right? And my job is to go underneath that anger and figure out what's really going on. And a lot of times they slap bracelets on us, right? And they, because they see what's on the outside. But my job is to kind of go against the grain a little bit, right? And try to figure out what's happening underneath so we can try to solve the real problems. What you guys are doing here tonight is solving the real problem, right? We're not outside fighting against whatever is outside, that's attacking us. You guys are working on solutions. So we're in the same line of work, right? So I really feel honored to be on this panel, and I'm surprised I was asked to be here, but I really appreciate the opportunity. But I'm blessed to be in a company of people that are also engaged in solving the problem. So thank you all for joining tonight.
Thank you.
My name is Dr. Humphrey, the chief of Baltimore Trauma Response Team. Some of the people in the room here tonight I know, and some I'm just meeting for the first time. I've been trying to bring trauma awareness to Baltimore City for the last 37 years. I'm Bloomberg School of Public Health certified trainer in trauma. I was asked to put a trauma response team together through John Hopkins, and caught a lot of flack because they wanted to know why I was just in East Baltimore, limited to East Baltimore, because trauma is all over the city. But I can share with you from what I have experienced that if we don't get in touch with reality with our young people, it may not happen now, but you're going to be a victim, because our young people is angry because they feel neglected, and they feel left out, and they feel like nobody don't care. I stopped criticizing what the politicians are not doing, because I came to my conscious mind that if they had a plan and if they really knew, they would execute it. So I know they don't have a plan, but it takes grassroots people like yourself to want to step up. My mother always told me, anytime you see a good spiritual fight, you're supposed to get in it. So I'm honored to be here tonight. I know the work of Brother Mosiah, and trying to mentor our young kids, and either you're part of the problem or part of the solution. So I can tell you now that when you can't give something that you don't have, a lot of our young people haven't been shown love. I have 20 years experience working in the Department of Juvenile Services, Cheltenham, Charles Hickey School in 2000. I downsized Charles Hickey. Also, me and Cameron Miles downsized Cheltenham, and I also was instrumental in shutting down the south wing of the penitentiary. So I know what it takes to stay in the fight, and I'm honored to share what I know about trauma. And if it's not treated, the situation is going to get worse, and we will look at self-destruction with our young people. So we got to get them while we can.
Thank you, Mr.
My name is Steve Coleman. Can y'all hear me?
Yes.
Yes. The name of my program is called Strengthening the Community. And I'm a product of the speedball mob, the dope, the cane, the liquor, and all that. Now, what I tend to do, because at 11 years old, I started smoking weed. 13 years old, I started drinking. 14 years old, I started snorting cocaine. Between 14 and 15, I started shooting cocaine and dope. So I thought I had a happy life. I thought I was a real, good kid and happy and such as, But I learned later down the line, I got clean at 30. So all my teenage years, all into my 20s, I got high. I was running from issues, right? I got clean at 30. Thank God today, and I share this anywhere I go, because if you tell me people can't change or people don't want to change, I tell you, yes, they do, because I changed. I'm coming up on 30 years clean in January. I do not, and I fight this a lot. I do not like when people downgrade our people. I don't play that. I will come out and I fight. I do a talk show called The Couch Conversation. Man, I'm trying to be nice because at one point, like what Dr. Humphrey said, I was going after our politicians and I was coming hard for them. But people told me I need to settle down. They said, Steve, what you saying is not wrong, but people gonna start hating you. And they were talking about the black people. They gonna start hating you because they don't wanna hear the truth. And I couldn't believe it. So they started hating me. And now I'm gonna talk about Lady J before I move on.
Okay.
She talked to me one night, right, on a thing, right? And she finally got in touch with me. She said, you know what? I said, what? She said, you is considered as the most hated man in Baltimore City. Now, mind you, when she said that, I thought about Maxwell Smart, right? And loving it, right? Because I figured y'all wouldn't worry me to do stuff. So, because I fight. And it was my approach towards it. And then I did a talk show with Steve Blanchard. And Steve Blanchard called me the most controversial man in Baltimore City. Now, mind y'all, I love it because I don't take no bull jump. I got to watch my mouth, right? Trying to be nice. I don't take no jump. And I realized for me, I stand firm on what I believe. My goal is not to sell our people out. And when I say that, I'm talking about our poor people, basically. Because I started understanding any bills they create, any legislations they create, it tends to hurt the poor people. If you create a bill that will give, say like our black guys 10 years or 20 years on something, but the white guy get 10. I'm gonna come and ask you why you created that bill. I will come to you. You can be the coolest person in the world, but I want to know why you created that bill. And once you tell me, I'll tell you this. I love you, but I'm coming for your ass. Because I don't want the bill on the ballot. And that's how I deal with people, right? Now, because of my experience, and I'm listening to him, I use my personal experience to help turn things around. I look for solutions. I do not like going to a bunch of these little meetings where they constantly go around in circle with stuff, because I will raise my hand, excuse me, my name is Steve Coleman, blah, 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 and I'm gonna share the solution. Because number one, what Dr. Humphrey said, I started realizing that our politicians can't really do too much footwork. We do the footwork, the grassroots stuff. We do it, but they will support or they can create a bill. And if they create a bill that will help our people, we need to support them with that bill, because that's what it's all about. So I started realizing that they have no control over what goes on in the inner city. And I'm talking about like solutions, like, you cannot, because I was asked to run for delegate, right? The House of Delegates. And I was going to run on the Republican ticket, right? I done sold the Democrats out. I'm telling you that. I done sold the Democrats out. So I became a Republican. And be honest with you, I found out all of them were full of crap. So I'm right here again. I'm in the middle. Because if you create a bill, that's going to hurt our people. I'm coming for you, rather you're a Republican, rather you're a Democrat. So I realized I fight. So I can't take a side. You got me? So therefore, when it comes to our people, I'm there with that. Now I have a team talk show that I just started, and it's called Be More's Real Team Talk. And y'all know the old statement that was going out, it's best, children are best to be seen. And I heard, well, we're going to turn that around, because we need to hear our children. We need to hear the pain. We need to hear what's going on. And a lot of times I don't get it, but it's like God takes me through a walk back when I was much younger on up to my age now. And I keep traveling that road when it comes to dealing with our children, when it comes to dealing with men, when it comes to dealing with women, when it comes to dealing with people, period. I'm a crybaby, so a lot of times, you know, I want people to know, our men, I want them to know that it's okay to holler, it's okay to scream, it's okay to say you don't like certain things. Because when I wasn't able to express myself, I carried a baseball bat, I carried a pistol, I had a sawed-off shotgun, I had a goddamn walking tall stick, and I thought I was him too. But I would fight people with it. I was a big, evil, nasty dude. Now I'm a cream puff. I don't know how that happened, but I'm a cream puff. But anyway, that's what I do. I help the homeless and the less fortunate. I have 2 houses where I bring them in, and I have a mental health group that helps them as well. Because the goal is to get to the root cause of what's going on in their life. You know, and for them to be able to face those issues in the past and overcome them in the here and now. So that's where I'm at. I'm gonna shut up because I got big mouth.
Thank you, Steve. One, I've been told to mention to all you guys that's here, social media, please tell your friends and anybody that may be watching to go to YouTube to What's Up Baltimore TV. What's Up Baltimore TV, so that they can tune in. I'm gonna bring the conversation right back to the crux to why we're here. And I'm gonna piggyback on something that you just said, how you would go back through your childhood and see where you were. And as you can see, our children here in this city are the spotlight of Baltimore, whether it be a squeegee kid that committed a murder, whether it be, you know, guys on Pennsylvania North Avenue, 14 to 15, perps, coke, selling drugs, whatever. Let me ask folks, how do we as adults remind ourselves of our own trauma and connect that to the children? Because often what I see is that when you're 30 years clean, you tend to forget when you were stealing out your mother's house. When you're 30 years clean, you tend to forget when you was out there trying to be a squeegee boy. So we got 2 voices that's being heard in the city. One of them is, knock them up. They don't deserve to be on the street. I'm sick of them. I don't want them near my window. And the other voice is saying, let's get to the root of it. What's the cause of the children being out there? So rather than look to the politicians, I want to ask everybody, and please keep it to at least 2 minutes so we can kind of move along. I want to ask everybody on the panel, how do we connect our trauma, especially if we've addressed it, to the trauma that we see? How do we connect trauma and what our children are going through to what we see? And is there any solution in sight to make that connection so that we are all on one accord? Because we don't seem to be on one accord. We'll start with you.
Well, first and foremost, I like to say this. First and foremost, I have a loud voice. First and foremost, I want to say this. When it comes to trauma, we have been going through trauma ever since they put chains on us and brought us across the transatlantic slave to this westernized civilization where we are not accustomed to it. They have stripped of us our identity. They have put us in programmatic. George Clinton says you got to deprogram to reprogram. And we have to do the same thing because many of us are still under the spell of the Willie Lynch syndrome. For those that don't know, the Willie Lynch syndrome is what the slave master used to control Black people, separate the light from the dark, separate the young from the old, separate the male from the female, desecrate and denigrate the male in front of the female, so the female has no respect for the male and look towards the slave master as her true role model and person to admire. That's why there's so many different shades in this wrong. Okay, think about it. Now, I don't have that much time to talk. All our trauma is the same. We need to acknowledge that nobody is going to do anything for us but ourselves. We can't depend on the government. We can't depend on programs that just taking all the money and putting it in their pockets. Our children, they say, are now at risk. Our children have been at risk ever since they were separated from their mothers during slavery. We got to get together now. What am I talking about? I'm talking about establishing generational wealth. I'm talking about coming back to some sense of family unit, whether it's a single parent or whatever, or if it's extended family. Show the love. We got to come back to the love, especially loving ourselves. One of the main reasons why young men are killing each other, because they don't have the love for themselves as individuals. They don't know what it is to show love. They don't know what it is to be loved. They don't know what it is. We got to come back to that. I don't want to take up too much time, but whatever we do, whatever action that we take, it has to be positive action, and it has to be done with the community in unity. And not only our children are at risk, but our total people are at risk.
Thank you.
Well said. Gave a lot to unpack. All right, so
Well, I'm packing my bag.
awesome. All right, so he's gonna make this super easy for me, right? So even though it's a very difficult challenge that we're facing, because when you say trauma, you took it all the way back to the Willie Lynch letters, right? So in that letter, it said that it was gonna last 300 years. So if you read it, it's 4 pages. Check it out if you have the time. A lot of the things that you see in that letter is happening today because a lot of the trauma that we're facing is hereditary. It's passed through generations, right? So a lot of us are parenting the way our parents parented us, the way their parents parented them. We value the same things that our parents value in a lot of cases. Is mental health is similar to physical health, right? It's just like we get genetic code from our parents, trauma comes with that. So one thing that we can do, I don't want to lose your question, right? One thing that we can do is, first of all, communicate and really address it, like, right, not avoid that it exists, right? Because we have this hardened shell. What that is a defense mechanism. We have this defense just so we can keep going. We as African Americans, we try to be super tough and we just keep pressing on, right? We can just deal with all this stuff. Sometimes we gotta let it go. Sometimes we gotta talk about it first, right? A lot of people want to be safe as well. So being safe is important to everyone. So instead of being scared of your younger brother in the community or your younger sister in the community, have a conversation with them. Find out what's going on. Some people just want to be respected. I feel like I can go in any hood the way I look and have a conversation with somebody without feeling like they're going to shoot me in the face. It's as simple as that. Have respect for other people and treat them like they're human beings. And they're not used to that because they go to school and somebody's fussing at them. They go home and somebody's fussing at them. They're getting bullied by the police. If somebody say, "Hey, brother, how you doing?" They might need that. That might be the only time they hear that this year. So that's where we start. And in the same way we're mobilizing for this event is the same way we should be mobilizing for the school systems, right? So I don't see a lot of I work in the school systems all the time. I don't see all this activity in the school system. It's just the facts. So we gotta hold them accountable. Like we talk about holding the politicians accountable. We gotta start at the lower level, right? It happens at school. That's where the kids are. All right. I'm trying to time myself. I don't want to go too far over time.
There you go.
Thank you. 2 minutes.
Phil, what's your last name?
Kendall.
Okay, thank you.
No problem.
Well, what I want to share with guests tonight, from what I experienced, I think Sister Monica touched on. I was one of those guys that been through the system, the age of 12 to 28, and realized that the same people that goes through the system that have issues with trauma, they never been treated. And I think the brother to my right said it. This is generational. It's historical. You know, I do a training called historical trauma where it starts from when we were forced to be slaves on the ship, chained together, eating together, defecating in the same areas and everything. So it's a mental breakdown. And I was one of those guys that when back then, before it was Charles Hickey School, it was Maryland Training School, I used to say the same thing that you shared, Sister Monica. You know, lock them young guys up. They deserve what they get. You know, they do the crime, they do the crime, they do the time. And my mother said to me one day, say, how soon you forgot? You was once one of them. So I understand. I wrote a book called Black Youth in the Juvenile Justice System. Anger never leaves. When a young man see his father beat his mother, it's called learned behavior. And genetically, you know, the same way we have things that run in our bloodline, hereditary, like heart attack, diabetes and all that. You got to think back in the slavery days, they didn't have money. They didn't go to the doctor. So they dealt with it. So holding all this anger in for over 200, 300 years, it's got to come out some kind of way. So my job is, I'm not well like the city hall to shame the politicians and call them out. Zeke Cohen wrote the trauma, Elijah Cummings wrote the trauma-informed kid bill. Zeke Cohen got a few young people together and asked them a few questions and got the funding for it. We got to stop letting people tell our story. Everybody that's in this room tonight, you're here because you care. And you can't take a pill to make trauma go away. It's a time bomb that if we don't get to our young people, I can guarantee you that any of us in this room could go down where the squeegee kids are, offer them something that they're missing, and they'll listen to you. Why? Number one, because you came down in their space, they know you care. And they will respect you. And no disrespect to our other brothers and sisters, not of our color, they don't understand. They can't relate to us. Only we know us.
That's right. Thank you, brother.
Thank you. Can you read that again so I can make sure I'm on point?
Yeah, I was just asking, you know, how can we relate our trauma to the trauma of children? And I was just piggybacking on what somebody said and just paying attention to what's going on in the city and seeing how our past elections went down and seeing and listening to people as they vote in new folks, get rid of old folks. And it seems that we have a portion of the city that is reminding me of the 1994 crime bill under Bill Clinton. The majority of the people who begged him to lock us up were black. Charlie Rangel from New York, all of the black congressional folks, it was black people because they were up to their wits' end with crack and the devastation in our city. So there's a saying that say, you know, parents, if you don't deal with your child, the system will.
Right.
So what happened to me is that because we didn't deal with our own issues, white folk did. So we are at that point again where white folk are going to deal with our issues because we're not. So I'm saying for some people, they seem to have forgotten when they did used to get high, when they did steal, when they were squeegee boys, when they was at the supermarket bagging up people's stuff for funds or whatever to do what they got to get out the gate or whatever. So I'm saying, how can you relate that to the young people? What can be a little bit of the solution? Because we can't get the whole solution now, but solve it in 2 minutes.
I just want to say this real quick. I'm 60 years old, and I don't even know if my father living or not. You know, sometimes I be wondering, did he ever try to reach out for me and stuff like that? But because he wasn't a part of my life, I made it special for me to be a part of my own kids' lives, to do something totally different. I've done foster care in this process because I wanted to embrace our children with the love that I feel inside, because I had to go in and learn to love Steve Copeland. So once I was able to learn to love me, I became like selfish to become selfless. So I give it back. Now, the goal with me is to open up a multi-purpose center for inner city youth. I'm down City Hall and I'm telling Brandon Scott and them, I need y'all, because I need a center where we can teach them music, art, theater, dance, and all that type of stuff. We need to embrace their talents. I want a psychiatrist or a therapist to come in once a month, because 9 times out of 10, some of our babies, like 12, 13 years old, that have babies, are being molested. So I want us to address those issues. So this is what's in my proposal, right? Because we got to get to the core. And as I was writing it, and I'm like, when the children start talking about what's going on at home, I said, somebody going to jail. Somebody going to jail. And they supposed to. So I've been talking to a lot of people because I deal with children too. So that's the whole goal, is to reach the core of what's happening. Now that 375 that they talking about giving the kids, and y'all gonna have to do me like this. The 375 that they call themselves giving the kids, I'm like, what about the other 29 days? They're going to spend it in a certain amount of time, so they're going to go somewhere else and try to still shoot somebody, clean somebody's windows. They're going to still do it because that's only once a month. So that's, to me, that's not solving the problem. The ones that's a little bit younger, y'all need to find out where they live at, go to their houses, and find out what the heck is going on. Some of them could be living in abandonment. We don't know. But when I watched Brandon Scott, and it's not to put him on blast like that, but when I watched them, I said, these are some of the dumbest, smartest people I ever knew. And my mother said that too. She said some of the smartest people are the dumbest people. And I realized a lot of them don't have solutions. And you see what you said, like, I go back. God take me back to certain things that happened in my life. So I feel what certain kids is going through. So the whole thing with that is to make them, make them feel good about themselves. I'm gonna share this real quick because I told you I'll talk. I cannot get off the phone without, if I tell my kids I don't love you, if I don't say I love you and I hang up on my kids, they call me right back and say, Dad, you didn't say you love me. And I just wanted to say that because that's what I do. I try to pay a lot of attention to my children. And whatever they're going through, I want them to be able to talk to me, talk to their mother. I want them to be able to get it out. And that's what we have to do. We have to listen to the children. So that's part of where God got me at with the multi-purpose center and stuff like that, so we can embrace their hidden talents. And not only that, get the ones the proper help that they need of dealing with life on life terms.
Thank you. I have so many questions I want to ask. Yes, ma'am.
No, I was just saying, do we suppose to ask questions or yes?
Yeah, but if we want to keep this, make this interactive, we can. But I really want to throw this one question. Don't lose your thought, because it's so much that we want to talk. I know it's going to take us for 11,000 hours. We're gonna have to come back here at least once a week. But the question that I want to ask is, many of our service members, many of the guys and girls who went to the military, especially Black people who serve this nation, when they come back, they have so many issues. And when they go to the VA, it's hard to get help down there. And whenever you look on television, the American hero is usually a white guy. They made a movie about these towers falling down, and Nicolas Cage played in the movie. And come to find out, it was a Black man that left his home in New York City and ran down there to risk his life. But they took that Black man's story and made it Nicolas Cage. And the only way the brother found out, he was looking at the damn movie. Say, shit, I think I left my house that day. That was him. So what I'm saying is, and bringing us back to the reason why we're here, how do we get more attention to folks who have served this country that need these mental health services? And how do we support them? When our brother go to court, we need to show up. If anybody served in the military, come dressed in your uniform. Make them respect you. Shine them daggone patent leather shoes up and come up in there with your uniform on. Because that's what they would do for their own. They show up in uniform. They love people in uniform. You can get all kinds of donuts, coffee. Thank you for serving our country. Thank you for serving my country. Give me one of them burgers. Thank you for serving our country. Give me some fries too. They claim they love folks in our uniform, but they don't love the Black man. He could have served in a military. When he came home, they spit on him. He'd been in every war, saved white folks, saved them. So what I want to know is, in 2 minutes, first of all, show up for court when the brother go to court. Second of all, how do we also get that post-traumatic stress disorder on point so that people can start paying more attention to our veterans who serve? Many of them are with Christina Flowers right now. Many of them are homeless. Many of them are in a Turk house. The stuff they done seen in Iraq, Iran, Nam, it's a mess. So start, would you give me 2 minutes?
All right, let me make this point very quick. First of all, the problem with our community is that we're not really a community. In the word community, the last 5 letters is UNITY. Why? Because it's unity. There needs to be more networking. We have power within our people. We have churches. We have police officers. We have doctors. We have students in colleges, Compton and Morgan and Towson and Loyola. We got people that are in the parks and recreation. We need to network. We need to come up with a concise program that is inclusive of everybody from the kid all the way up to the mayor. And let them know what our target is, which is curing and abating mental health in this city. Churches are only open on Wednesday night for Bible study. Every now and then Friday night, but every Sunday they're open. The rest of the week they're closed. That's a good space to have young people to come to and mentor with some students that are in their graduate class at Morgan State that are focusing on psychology. We got to come together. We got to build up ourselves. We can't wait for what the government is going to do or what a program that you put into play, a bill for it to be approved. Right. So why does it have to be approved? We got to just do the damn thing. That's right. We got to come together and involve all elements of our community, those that have resources. We have personal resources. We also got to go back to boycotting. Why am I saying this? Yes. Because boycotting has an effect. What do we boycott? We boycott heroin. We boycott cigarettes. We boycott Walmart. Break it down. We have power. We got to go back to it. Our children are at stake, and we're at stake. And you talk about the veterans. I'm a veteran of inner city life. I've been in the battlefield ever since the time I was 12 years old. I got just as much right to celebrate Veterans Day as anybody else. And let me make this one point clear. We got to open ourselves and realize who we are as a people, the power that we have, the intelligence that we have. You talk about the white person, they copy something, they've been copying us for years. When we look at them, we see ourselves. And they sell it back to us and profit from our ignorance. We got to come together. We got to start programs and open up our hearts and open up our minds and know that we have the capability to change the world.
Thank you.
Especially ours.
Thank you, sir.
Yes, sir. Man, good stuff. I ain't following this guy. I'm just gonna say that. That's hard to follow. But all right. So I just want to start by saying, so I am a veteran as well. So I've been in the military for about 23 years now. I'm a reservist. One thing I wanted to point out was I've never been spit on, like literally, right? But at the same time, I don't feel as connected as I would if I was wearing other skin as another person who's been in the military 23 years. So first of all, when I joined, everybody called me crazy for joining the military. Like all my family and friends, but I just wanted Nissan Maxima, right? So I joined anyway. They were giving good sign-on bonuses, and I wanted to go to college. But at the same time, I never really felt that connection because I was always one-on-one. It wasn't really a lot of black people around me, right? And I never really got held back, but still, I'm not going to go as hard as other people will because they're really connected and they have their brothers around them. And I didn't really I didn't see myself around me. So I'm in a minority in the sense that I encourage people to join the military. Like, look, we need more brothers in the military. We need more brothers as cops because if not, everybody else is going to join. And then we're going to be complaining about the same thing over and over again, right? So as far as veteran benefits, they are available. Access to those benefits is scarce because we don't have the education. So they have improved a lot of the veterans programs. We just got to know how to apply for it. And once you actually know how to apply, it's pretty straightforward. But it just that they don't advertise that. It's not really available. So that's a big part of the what leaves us behind is like not researching and not having that inside track. So I think I'm gonna stop there.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you. And I will just say, you might not have been spit on, but in World War I, World War II, those black folks were. And I really would love for us to not separate ourselves from what happened prior to us. There are people who say, well, I didn't own slaves, but your pappy did.
Right. Yeah, and I want to address that too. So the reason I was able to serve and not get spit on is because of that, right? So it's progressive. So hopefully, like if my son or my grandson joins the military, they won't even like remember what it was like to get like any type of racism. Like, so I do appreciate that happening. I'm super optimistic.
That's good.
I hope that it dies down to the point where as though they're so oblivious to it that, you know, I'm just an angry old man. You know,
Well, thank you.
that's the hopefully it happens. We'll see.
Thank you.
Yeah.
2 minutes.
Yeah, I just want to share that I never served in the military, but everything that I learned from the School of Hard Knocks, I instilled in my son, who later became Secret Service for George Herbert Bush, even though he lost his life at an early age, 23 years old. His stepfather was a former state trooper, former Howard County police, who killed him. That's how I got in this line of work, because I know firsthand being traumatized. First, we got to look at leadership. A lot of people do not know, and I know I'm on camera saying this, but we can debate matters of opinion, but we can't debate facts. A lot of people thought that the uprising was because they killed Freddie Gray. It wasn't about Freddie Gray. That whole riot was staged and it was organized, and a lot of people don't want to believe it. But when our people get sick and tired of being sick and tired, we need the proper leadership. The days of the Flip Wilson preachers is over with. If preachers don't go out in the trenches, then I don't even respect them as preachers. Because I haven't read nowhere in the Bible where Jesus pastored the church. Most of his work was done outside the church.
That's right.
So to answer your question, why the military, the guys get treated like that, is because everybody can't tell our story. We have to begin to stand up. Our people in this city and around the country is broken. There's lost hope, and the politician knows this. That's why they take advantage of that. They depend on the fact that they won't show up so they can do what they want. I mean, how you gonna work 8 years, 12 years and want a pension the rest of your life? If the people let them go for that, I mean, what can you say? We had that, the biggest part is education. We gotta educate our people, each one teach one, and grab somebody, these young women, boys and girls by the hand and teach them. Because the reason why they doing what they're doing, because some of them know we're afraid of them. I'm 66 years old, and in my day, the older guys, they would check you. You couldn't do what you could be drunk as a skunk. You see somebody muffle come up, you put that bottle behind you and straighten up. Respect is a bad word now. So we need people that really have our best interests. When everybody that's black don't represent me.
That's it.
Yeah, because I'm not going to sell out. I'm not going to do anything that harm our people, because your reputation should precede you everywhere you go. When you're a liar and you're a trickster, when people see you and want to knock you in the head, you get what you get when you do what you do. Tell people the truth, and people will respect you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
2 minutes, Steve. 2 minutes.
All right, I told you gotta do me like this.
Okay.
I got
Yeah, put them on the time.
I just want to.
Sister Earth got to come.
When I say I fight for the democracy of black people here in Baltimore City. So anything that comes up that will harm our people, with Communities United, we will fight against whatever. I'm one of the guys that helped get that $15 minimum wage bill passed. I spoke on it twice, once in Baltimore City and once in Annapolis. The housing, we got that bill passed because we believe that the reason our kids are acting the way they're acting is because of the lead, the mold, and the rat droppings. So a lot of the slumlords now have to become licensed landlords. So you have to get that fixed up. When I deal with some of them and I tell them where I came from and I ask them for their name, they won't give it. They won't give it. And I'm all right with that. Because if the place ain't up to code. I get people calling me that's in housing and they might have rats and roaches and all of that come in their house. I will go to the person. I will go to the person to let them know, fix whatever it is that's going on in that house. You know, so I do a lot around Baltimore City, and I'm getting a little tired now, but I just want to share this part because this hurts me a lot. This really hurts me a lot. If it's 250 of us going over to Annapolis or DC or somewhere to talk about what's going on in Baltimore City, it's 25 blacks and about 225 whites. And that really disappoints me. But I can't let it stop me, you know, but it's now not to, I know we go to white man this and the white man that, but I get more support from white people than I do black. And I don't like it, but I have to get out. In order to move things, you got to do what you got to do. So I understood why Martin Luther King did what he did. I'm sitting in the delegate building. I'm going to shut up after this. God showed me. He said, you walking in the footsteps of two great men. Martin Luther King was one, and Jesus Christ was the other. And he showed me the work we do on the streets is what they did. So that's where I be at from time to time. And sometimes it hurts me to see how people won't stand up and fight for themselves. You can make a difference in life. I came out in the 10th grade. My wife told me one time, she said, you only got a 9th grade education. I wanted to smack her. Because I bragged about that too. You know?
Thank you.
But I'm just saying that because we can be successful.
Thank you.
It's just doing the work.
I think Sister Eartha, you want to go back to your comment that you had earlier?
Yeah, I wanted to comment because, you know, we always talk about solutions. And sometimes I try to make my mindset simple. First, we have to identify who's the we. Who are we talking about? Because I'm not part of that we. So suppose if we stay focused, if we decide to get Mosiah the money that he needs, right? Because that's what we're talking about.
Amen.
Does he not have the money because we psychologically damaged? Does he not have the money because we the white people? Does he not have the money because of all the problems we talk about? Or he does not have the money because we haven't raised our level of consciousness and to redirect our money? And another thing, the reason why I call my organization Tight Knit is I remind myself that when I look at history, and depending on who's telling history, like they say Noah Ark and the world flooded, maybe the whole world didn't flood it, maybe it just flooded where he was at. Right? But then you act as if the world flooded. So we don't know everybody that's doing everything. You only know what you're doing or the things that you're exposed to, just like the people you're talking about. And I don't call it mental illness. I call it a mindset, depending on where my mind is set, and depending on what I've been doing in my life. So if we're talking about solutions, I think one of the things we need to do in Baltimore, we need to slow down and identify that the solution is there. But if the resource is not there, like if you have a center and you need money to get the building, the center, then I need to slow down and just go get you some money and get the building, get the center. I don't need you to keep telling me about all the things that you do because we already know that you can do this. So when I look at the economic component, I am one of the organizers of the Million Man March in 1995. That's why I'm here. That's why K-Bos. I came to them and I said, we're so damaged that we saw something in our lifetime. I organized it, so I know y'all saw it.
Amen.
1 million plus people showed up, black men at that, at a particular location, right? Led by one of the most strongest black men that I ever heard speak, talk, Minister Farrakhan, who partnered with another black man, Ben Chavis, right? So then they connected to, remember I told you the we. If you look at the video, they had all these speakers because these people were doing this way before 1995. They came to speak upon what we needed as a solution. They even got it in the book. Somebody said, I didn't know they had it in the book. Yeah, they got it in the book.
Yep.
So I said to myself, when we keep talking about all of this stuff, you mean to tell me out of those millions of black men, there's no one that can solve our problems? It was. What we haven't done, guys, is determine who's the we. And if we determine who the we, we have to hold ourselves accountable, because if we keep going out and talking about we don't have the money for lawyers, we don't have the money for this, we don't have the money to, then why don't we just talk about the money? Why we even talk about how ill we are? We sick, but we know how to spend some money. So then we can talk about, okay, if we need money, who has the economical plan? Not to put him on the spot again, I put him in my organization because people did not know that he had a company. Guess what kind of company he had? Bathroom tissue. So he says to us, anybody in this room use bathroom tissue? We all raised our hand. And he said, okay, let's put ourselves on auto ship. I will ship it to you. You see what I'm saying? Ask him how many people jumped on auto ship. You see what I'm saying? So when we coming up with stuff, I went to the court with Jay Wendell Gordon and Warren Brown. They called me. Hey, Urfa, get out into the community. Tell the community to get involved with this case. We're taking this case pro bono. Because the solution is me as a black man, as a lawyer, because that's what I do. That's what Warren Brown do. You talking about we're supposed to have our people in position. So they our people. We're going to defend ourselves against the system. Ask me how many people was down there. Sure. Right? And the white people, like you said, they was down there. They talked about how great he was, and he did all this wonderful stuff. And he was just, and you literally just shot him in the back. You just shot him down. And we still holding the conversation, but they should have had you guys in there and say, hey, maybe he had the mindset. We told you don't go over there because he was a snake, but he had the mindset. So we're not even building our own solutions. So again, the point I'm making is let's slow down. Let's identify what we got. And let us, whoever the we are, pull our resources in there so you can do better what you're doing. And we know that you're doing better. Why? Because we gave you what you need. And then when we give you guys what y'all need, that's how we create a movement. The only thing that's going to solve our problems in this world, we have to create a movement, right? Slavery wasn't just being free in one location, in one area, right? When we really got freed, as they say, or tried to be free, because our mindset from the day they took us from our natural country, we knew that we wanted to be free. You know how we knew? Because they literally had to chain us down to make us come. We didn't just come, right? So they made you chain down because they know if you was in your natural mindset, you would have killed them. You wouldn't have you definitely wouldn't have go. So let's slow down, identify all of this. One of the things I think hopefully we stay focused on tonight. I don't know what your dollar value is that you need, Mosiah, but make sure we stay focused on that. Get him the money that he needs, because obviously this money that he needs is going to identify whoever has the talent or the skill to go in the courtroom to lay out the case for him.
All right, so y'all, I promised I was not gonna say anything, but I gotta say something because I'm listening to what everybody is saying, and I'm gonna bring it over to you, Ms. Gwen. But I'm gonna go back to something that you said, Ms. Eartha, because you said about us coming together, and this is what I want to say about Baltimore City. And a lot of people know I'm very vocal. For those of you who don't know me, I'm Dr. Lady J. I'm very vocal about how I feel when it comes to certain things, and it's easy to say, you know, we all need to come together. People in Baltimore City have the mentality everybody's doing something, like you said, but people don't want to come together. How do you break that mentality and that mindset to help people to understand that in order for you to grow, in order for you to grow, in order for me to grow, what I'm doing, we have to come together. It's been the hardest thing for me in the past 4 years with these boots on the ground, walking them streets, doing community church every single week, on my free time, letting everybody know this is what's going on, and nobody shows up. Dr. Humphrey, you've been there a few times. It's not full. And the things that I have done, and I'm not saying this to put, pat myself on the back, but I'm commenting on what you're saying, and I'm not getting on you. I'm just bringing it about to the forefront that in our community we don't support each other. And we're all trying to do the same thing. He's doing what I'm doing. Dr. Humphrey, you work in mental health, I do mental health. But none of us come together. We just sit and we have these conversations. And this is why I had told Ms. Gwen I wasn't going to say nothing. Because I'm tired of going to the conversations. Yeah. I'm tired of going to places where we sit down and we have conversations, but we're not solution oriented. There's no solution, and we walk away and we like, oh, that was good. And we never see we never come back again until we see another Mosiah situation. Then we come back and we want to fight, we want to argue, we want to fuss, but we need to continue to do this as we go along. And I think for me, like, it's just hurtful to continue to keep going out there, pounding and pounding and pounding the pavement, and ain't nobody behind you. You know, or you got people, or you have people who will criticize you, who will talk about you, who will put you down, but never come out there and be out there with you. And I can say this because I'm out there. I can say it. And so
solve that problem. If you didn't understand what I said.
no, I'm not getting on you.
No, I'm not.
This is just the point I wanted to make.
This is why I'm showing you how you solve your problem. I told you first you have to identify your we. That's why I said I'm not frustrated. I got my coming together. I did come together. We're here together. I told you, got to start simple. So when we say nobody come together, yes, we do. We're here right now.
Mm-hmm.
Now, where it may be a problem, depending on what you personally think your outcome should be, then you have to pull back. I'm like, excuse me, then why you ain't doing X, Y, Z? Then we don't confront each other, because then if I'm in the same business,
I confront you.
then you will. Then this is what I'm saying. So when she confronts you, then
yeah.
you and her have to become the we. You see what I'm saying? See what happens if you sit here and say, "Well, I'm tired of going to meetings, nobody come together." Then maybe you need to check yourself, because I'm not tired of going to meetings, because I come together. I'm part of a men's group, and they know. I tell them all the time, we are going to be the we. I'm not talking to everybody. I'm talking to you. So if me and you say we're gonna meet on Friday, I expect you to be there. If you're not, I'm just gonna keep talking to you, because if I keep doing a big picture, I'm never gonna get to the big picture. But if I say that we're gonna meet, whoever the we are, then we're gonna keep checking ourselves. And then once I check myself, and that's why I told you I'm here at this forum now, because I am part of Mosiah's we.
Yeah,
you know, I am part of this we. So yes, I might have been busy, but if I say to myself, I'm not gonna let people tell me that we can't do this. Because I'm not part of the people that ain't trying to do this. I'm part of the people that we doing this. And yeah, it gets a little frustrating, but we have to be able to determine that we give ourselves an opportunity to do better. That's all we do have all of the things that we have. Lady J, we got to do better with you. So what we do is listen to you. You say, look, the next time I come out, I need you there, Earth. And I'm going to look at my calendar, because one of the things that I think we should solutionary for ourselves, we need a unified calendar so everybody can look out and see what everybody's doing. Because if we all are doing something, you can't be at everything. We don't have the money to be at things. But if we manage our time, we have a calendar. I'm looking at the whole year. Everybody in this room told me what they're going to do the whole year. I would pick one of those things. You know why? Because I know you're going to be doing a lot. So I may not be at every meeting. I would say to myself, I'm going to take $1,000 and push into my week. Then I'm going to decide who's going to get my $1,000. So we have to be able to say to ourselves, slow down, guys. We are doing a lot of this stuff that we're talking about. It's just not big enough to make an impact, and you will get frustrated, because again, I'm 63, young man. So I know it gets frustrated, and I've been doing this for a long time. But now I understand that we're doing it, and we're supposed to get tired. And we're going to create a way where younger people,
I'm 60. I'm not.
There you go.
I'm right there with you.
Right, and we're going to. So when they come through, they're going to do better than us. So that's what I say. Let's slow down and be appreciative of what we did.
Real quick.
Thank you.
Brother here said something very important.
Can we hear
He said
from him?
one of the biggest issues is we don't trust each other.
Yeah,
exactly.
Say that, King.
My name is Edward Austin, and Saturday I will be 74.
And remember this.
74 on Saturday.
Remember this. Men tell you anything they want to tell you, but be careful, because men tell you help. But what did God tell you?
Yeah.
Thank you, King.
The problem that you're experiencing, Black people do not trust each other.
We don't.
And that's the solution. That's the problem that you're experiencing out here when you want people to support you, and you coming out Saturday, I want y'all to be there. Us Black people as a group, we do not trust each other for whatever reason. I don't know what the reason is, why we don't trust, but we need to stick together as a group. We only got us. We only have us. So we need to support each other. And whatever happened to the Million Man March, I don't know what happened. They had a lot of good ideas, good initiatives, during that time in 1995. I do remember it because I was there. And I don't know what came of the problems that they were experiencing. They had good, I would say they got good solutions, but whatever happened to them?
Whatever happened is you. So what happened to you? You went to the Million Man March, you came out the Million Man March. When people say whatever happened to the Million Man March, what happened to you? So if you feel like you didn't do nothing, then tell that story. Don't say that did you go? If you say yes, I went and I did something, that he tell his story. If you say yes, we gotta stop saying nothing came out of the Million Man. Let me tell you what came out of the Million Man March. A million brothers just like you that tell your own individual stories. So if you look at what he's looking for, what come out of this room after we leave here? It's gonna be all these different stories and all this stuff. But we can't say nothing came out of it just because you came out with your own version of when you left here. I'm doing a documentary. The documentary is gonna be called Before, During, and After. Because again, slow down, guys. Like you said, before you became who you are today, you know what you went through. Then you went through something, now you're there. So I want to do the same thing. I want you to tell your story, everybody. And let me tell you, if you didn't go to the Million Man March, you still should tell your story. Right? That's right. Because there people still talk about Jesus and you wouldn't admit. So that's how
Gwen have a comment, and then I'm gonna get the microphone back because we want to get back on task.
Let me just make this one statement.
Yes, sir.
And I'm 67. Every wheel has many spokes, but every spoke is connected to the hub. And what we need to do as part of a solution is to develop a website by which we all can maintain throughout the year and contact to see what's going on, to see who has what resources, to see what meetings are, when we're coming together, and what we can contribute in order to focus on the solution. Every spoke is connected to a hub, and every spoke that's connected to the hub is also connected to the wheel.
Thank you, sir. Go ahead, Ms. Gwen.
Hi. About this time last year, I went to a thing at Morgan called Crisis in the Black Community. There were people from all over the state of Maryland. They had breakout workshops, all kinds of information gathering, giving. A 3-day, not 1, 2 hours, 3 days. We talked about what was going on in our community in Baltimore, in Maryland. And guess what? I think I only heard from 2 of those organizations and that was because I followed up on them. I called them. I tried to stay in contact with them. We have a tendency to come together like this. When we leave here, we leave here. The same way we went to the Million Man March, and I was a female and I was there. We went to that march and a lot of us went and left that march and talked a bunch of junk for 2 or 3 days. And that was the end of that. Please, I'm asking you, Mosiah we cannot let this go. It's not just Mosiah. Our young men in Baltimore are hurting. They are dying every day. We cannot continue to have these meetings and just walk away and don't have a follow-up plan. One was a suggestion, a website, a calendar. Come on, before we leave here tonight, let's make a concrete plan for what our next step will be before we walk out this door. We cannot continue to walk out these doors and leave things up in the air about what we're going to do at the next meeting. Let's make an agenda, a plan, or something right now. Okay. Right now for our next meeting, because we need our next meeting, and prayerfully, Messiah's going to need us before January. So we have to remember. This young man CashApp.
We can do all that at the end of the meeting.
Yeah, but we got to do all
that. Yeah, we're going to do. I think he wanted to make a statement. Then I'm going to get the mic back and try to bring us back.
Yeah, all right. I think the biggest thing I'm noticing, like everybody's speaking their age, there's no kids in here.
Right.
Like, that's the solution. Like somebody said, how can you bridge the gap? There's the gap. That's the solution. Where's the children? That's who y'all here for. That's who everybody here for. Like that's it. Like that's the only solution. I don't see no problems nowhere else. Like I said.
Young King,
I
I beg to differ. I'm the oldest 67-year-old kid in here. Okay? I've never forgotten my childhood, and I
There's
think
nobody else in my age.
I agree with you. I agree with you.
Wait a minute, how old are you, buddy? How old are you? How old are you?
I'm 31.
All right, 31.
Like,
That's
but
why I
like
started.
said, like you hear
Yeah.
kid.
Hey,
It's not. I don't know somebody. I don't know anybody in here younger than me.
Right.
Like I don't know nobody.
And thank you for coming out.
That's why
and-
I
and-
started
and
the Teen Talk Show.
Thank you. And just for some clarity, we are here for a conversation on mental health
Right, right.
and all those aspects, but the main reason why we're here is for that brother right there.
That's
The
right.
main reason why we're here is to hear that awesome suggestion that Sister Eartha made. That's the main reason why we're here. It just so happened the subject is mental health. And we seeing it. Our mental health issues are walking down the street right now. We see it. I seen it yesterday. Guess what? Freezing cold. The lady car broke down. I said, "Salaam alaikum." She rolled the window down. She needed help with a car. But she ended up crying and finding out, oh, my baby father left me. I got these kids. I'm trying to get to work. That's our issue. Our issue is when we leave here, it's hard to get right back. Because when I leave, I'm thinking about my rent. I'm thinking about my BG&E. I'm thinking about that sorry-ass racist dude on my job. So one of the things that we got to do is give ourselves some grace. If we make just that one commitment, it's going to get us where we need to be. Because we cannot focus on our issues because we're so messed up. Mother just died. You grieving. Your son dead. You grieving. You hurting. So it is hard to make it to spaces like this. You have good intentions. You want to be here, but we messed up. So if we just make one commitment to say, all right, we're going to make that website. And all you got to do is check it. It's a calendar. K-Mo's not going to have an event on the 21st because Lady J having one. That is one small commitment to just checking an email. You know how many people get emails? They done missed that Ed McMahon money. That goddamn $500,000 check. You done missed it because you didn't check your email. You never know what's in it. You don't check it. There's certain habits that we can get into. That's just one small step. And that one first habit could be to simply check the website, see what's going on. And I bet you that would just be one small step for Tight Knit, for Lady J, for our brothers at the Arena Players, for everybody in here that needs support. If we had that one website, that one calendar, that would just be one small step. And if we take one small step, you know, all us from Missouri, you got to show me. Well, what you say, you got a plan? Shit, I need to see it. We mainly will join when the plan is already built. That's why we get crumbs. If they tell you solar energy is the next thing, we'll sit around, talk about it. Then when that shit up and running, we run it. But the white folks already did it because we don't know how to build. We don't know how to trust. We don't know how to see it. You only come when K-Mos is successful. Then you're going to be like, boy, how can I get that? Look at that car. Look what you got. Once he's successful, then we want to join. But when he got his little business, trying to get there, pushing his pies, we just don't believe it. So if we just take that one step and just start believing in each other, then we'd be so.
I have a question, please.
We have somebody has the mic right here, and then I'll bring it over to you.
Excuse my emotion. I love y'all.
Emotions
Love
are
you,
beautiful.
dear.
Only 2 minutes next time.
For sure. For
Greetings.
sure.
My name is Dr. Dennis Assad Winkler. I'm a psychotherapist as well, brother. And everybody else. I guess I'm the founder of Teen Holistic Wellness Center, where we do a lot of work in the community. I want to say thanks, Brother Mosiah, for inviting me out. And I don't know what's really going on here, right? I'm talking about as far as I don't even know what's going on with my dear brother.
That's what I'm going
But what I do know is he invited me out and he spoke about this book called Post-Traumatic Slave Syndrome. And I think that we spoke about this thing called not trusting each other. Okay, and I think that one of the main issues or the main symptoms of trauma is the lack of ability to trust. And we have to really understand that. And we also have to understand that another symptom of any type of trauma is that we become aggressive. We become abusive even. And many times, because we haven't dealt with the trauma ourselves, we try to browbeat each other into submission to do what we think we want them to do. But the reality is that, as I think as Mama Eartha said, we do support each other. See, another symptom of trauma is that we have false belief systems. And the issue is we see trauma thwarts the way that you think. It thwarts the world view that you have. It has you thinking and believing things that is not real. Let's deal with that. And so we will not trust because we first and foremost can't trust ourselves. Let's deal with that. And so when we talk about mental health, let's talk about mental health. The reality is we skate around mental health. We talk about it's 400 years and so on and so forth. We never been healed. If we know that, we've read the Akbars, we read the A.C.G. Hills, we read the Dr. Joy DeCruz, we read all these people, and no one, as the dear brother has said, is signing up quickly. Well, some people are because they're dealing with some issues on a personal level in their relationships, but we're not dealing with this trauma and pain that's been inflicted on us from generational slavery, whatever you call it. We only go to therapy as a last resort. In fact, we tell our children to go, but we dare not go. And we only go when something's going on with my boo. You understand?
If you got one.
No, most of us, we got a lot of them. We just can't stay with one because the trauma, the generational trauma, because we don't know how to be with each other. And I'm going to suggest to you, I'm going to promise you that it's never going to be a way that we're going to fix this thing like that. That's right. It's just not going to happen. That's right. As the brother says, progressive. And I'm going to suggest that we have and we will, we do. And my dear brother will be supported. That's right. But what I will say is, we can't beat each other into submission. You know, we might disagree with each other. But the reality is most people, we want to help each other. Just take this down to a micro level. When we look at, even in your relationships, most of the time we're in relationships and while relationships fail at the basic level. This is my wife, right? I've been with, I'm sorry. I'm sorry.
No.
Oh, man, he's cooking. Oh, yeah, hold on.
I was asking if you mind being on the camera, because sometimes when I'm doing this, some people don't like being on the camera. But I want them to see you because you're powerful.
So that's my wife. I've been with her since I was 16. Sister Camille right here.
That's Sister Camille.
Yeah, so what I want to say is we really have to learn to be gentle with each other. And that's not popular because when you've been traumatized and when you've been through so much trauma, we think aggression is the way. You understand what I'm trying to say? So even in my passion, I hope that doesn't feel as aggression. Because what I really want to posit, I want to like impress upon us is that we have to be gentle with each other. I don't really care what happened with Mosiah. I do know that we are victims. We don't have to stay in that place. You understand? We make some decisions that's out, just whatever. It just happens. A lot of our brothers and sisters in prison, and I work with brothers every day who've been in prison. I work with brothers in my own organization. Most of them got murder charges. You understand what I'm trying to say? Because some decision they made out of their traumatic state led them and ended them up there. But that's not to hold them. But we have to deal with this hurt. We have to deal with this pain. We have to deal with this mistrust. And it's not like we can't beat the mistrust out of each other because we got plenty of reason to mistrust. Let's keep it real. We got plenty of reason to mistrust. But you will never stop the person and the people from mistrusting each other if we don't, and they don't first deal with that trauma, and you don't deal with your trauma. Because what we end up doing is blowing the trauma in ourselves through each other. So what I'm saying is, when I say solution, show up at, go sign up. Well, therapists aren't really in need for clients right now, but we need some more brothers and sisters that are becoming
psychotherapists.
Mhm.
We
That's
need let's start there.
That's right.
Because most black therapists, I don't care
That's
if
right.
you start the day one out of the institution, you got a whole client
Yes.
load before COVID. Now after COVID, you're a rock star.
Yes.
But what I'm trying to tell you is this:
Yes.
we have to deal with this thing on our level
Mm.
and see how we're complicit,
Mm.
and not just complicit in
That's
a
right.
meaningful or cognizant way, because we all are.
Say that.
We all have to do the work on ourselves, and we're going to continue to
Say
hurt
that.
each other
Mm.
with our aggression. With that, I say peace.
Ashe.
Thank you so much. He was powerful. You had a question. I just wanted to answer your question real quick. You was like, what?
He need a microphone.
I was just wondering when we were going to get to the part about this young man, because I was invited and I don't know
Yes, Steve, can you
the story.
yeah. Oh, he's
There you go. Yeah, we get ready to get to that right now.
So
And can I just say this? Hurt people hurt people.
That's it.
I heard that.
I don't need a microphone. We need to heal it. All you guys.
But you know, that's not necessarily true, because I've been hurt all my life, and guess what I'm doing? I'm helping people,
That's beautiful.
because I don't like to hurt.
That is beautiful.
So don't believe
Oh,
what
he
you
got
hear.
one. He got one.
Yeah, that's beautiful.
And one thing about that hurt, though, is many times we're hurting each other not knowing that we're hurting each other.
Mm.
Because what happens is that the aggression, the even the level of accountability, the calling out that this, I'm not talking.
I hear what
So-
you're saying. I hear what you're saying, and I don't mean to be rude, but I'm gonna be rude. First of all, number one, we have been so imposed by slave master tactics that we don't know how. We don't want to be slaves, but we want to be greater than the slave master.
Mhm.
So when we deal with each other, it's like we have become the slave master.
Absolutely.
Okay. Secondly, I want to say that most therapists that are very diligent in their work require therapists also. Require therapy also. My point is, whatever trauma that we are experiencing, we all are experiencing it collectively, and it needs to be addressed. Wait a minute, let me finish. As individuals, one of the first laws of nature we have to learn, not only self-preservation, but self-love. Because if we cannot identify who we are as individuals and love ourselves, we can't do nothing for nobody else.
I follow you about 90.
And I love you, my brother.
I don't have a the only disagreement I had with you right there is that I don't. Okay, so So my research is on measuring the relationship of race-based trauma, Black identity, and spirituality. Right. And one thing I want us to know is, going back to what Mama Eartha said, right, is that yes, we all have been hurt. Everybody's been hurt. But not everybody responds to trauma the same way. We can scientifically prove that. That's a reality. So I think one of the things I argue or I maintain is that there are good examples out here. So when we say sometimes when we say we've all been hurt, that then takes the light away from someone who has adapted and learned how to overcome, or that post-traumatic growth we had. So then what that does is that says, well, that kind of sometimes undercut the person who actually may have something for us to follow, or at least adapt or adopt into our lives. So I agree mostly, but I do think that we have examples of healthy people who survived the transatlantic slave trade, the Mayafa. So in my research supports that. Dr. DeGroot, in her book, she speaks to that not everyone is affected by trauma the same way. You understand? So we do have people out here healthy, and we have to look at those who are not just the deficits, but look at the what's the word I'm looking for? What's the good word I'm looking for? The what is it?
Access for
Not just a deficit, but our strengths. I should.
We're gonna let Messiah. We're gonna let Messiah.
hold on, everybody. 1 second.
We only got 15 minutes.
Right, before you say something, because I have to say what his attorney said, okay? Before Mosiah talks, because some of us have been to the courtroom and everything with Mosiah, and I've been with Mosiah since he was, when he first got arrested, and did the counseling and stuff with him. But one thing his attorney shared with us at the last meeting that we had is that he cannot go into his case of what happened. The purpose of this event is to talk about the fact that he needs money for his legal defense. It's very expensive. And so that's why we're here. We want to make sure that Mosiah gets the money that he needs because there's tests and other things that they need to do. And the attorney has to be paid. And so the one thing, I know some people were saying they didn't know what he did, but we really can't, he really can't, and Mosiah he really can't go into detail about anything with this involving this case.
We just here to support him.
Yeah, we want to support him and try to make sure that we can help to get the money that he needs in this case that is coming up. So Mosiah, I'm gonna turn it over to you.
Can I ask this question? If y'all can, about how much do you need to pay the attorneys?
But I don't think that's something that we should be discussing on
can't.
Facebook. Give what you can, and any extra, you might get yourself a box of cereal or something.
Before we proceed, let's see Mosiah fit in the floor.
Yeah, we're gonna give him a hand. But Ms. Gwen want to discuss that. You know, one of the things we do is called participatory defense, right? And participatory defense is a community court model, and what that is started in California. And what it does is when a community person gets in a pickle, everybody from the community support him in that court system that's been known to railroad out folks. We will send more information out about the participatory defense because Ms. Gwen, like Lady J, has been by his side since the beginning. And that's one of the reasons why we're here. The Maryland Justice Project with Lady J wanted to come together to support our brother, and it is through participatory defense. When you get a chance, Google it. It's a really great model, especially for Black folks that's caught up in this system. The support that you get from the community is incredible. It's a great program. That's why I'm glad we do it. You want to say something? Then we're gonna let brother talk, and then we're gonna get out of here.
The reason why we thought that this fundraiser would be appropriate because we all see it on a daily basis, the mental health issues in our community. And we know that for me, as a former incarcerated person, and many of us in here probably are,
Me being one.
that trauma,
Let me think.
and there are quite a few people who haven't been incarcerated. I recognize that.
They know somebody that has.
Somebody they know. But what I'm saying is this. We have to begin to look at this as a community issue.
Yes, ma'am.
So we're not letting Mosiah stand by himself in this
Amen.
issue.
Amen.
His issue is one that's reflected in many of our own kids, many of ourselves. But the issue is one of our community. So that's why we wanted to tie in the mental health of the urban community.
Thank you.
Not just leave it as Mosiah has a problem, so we're gonna come to his defense, we're gonna come to his aid. No, Mosiah is gonna be the brainchild. I guess gonna be the, what do you call it? The poster child.
He's a handsome poster child too, ain't he?
Of this issue,
Yeah.
seriously. He's gonna be the poster child of this issue because it does affect a lot of people. And so we're just, please, if we don't do anything, remember, this is just one meeting. Come up with some solutions and plan for our next meeting before we leave here.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Quinn. Go ahead, brother.
Test, all right. So I just want to go down the line. Brother Steve, Dr. Humphreys, Mr. Phil, therapist. Brother Como, Sister Eartha, Brother Jonathan, Mama Earth, Brother Wangler and his wife, Lady J, Sister Monica, my brother Derek, Brother Jonathan, Brother Cortez, my brother Dorian, Brother Frank, Sister Charlene, Al Terrell Freeman, Mama Gwen, Brother Ahmed. If I didn't name your name, it's because I don't know your name. But I thank everybody. I give acknowledgement to those names, Sir Terrence, to those names that I do know, because y'all are here because y'all love me.
Yes, sir.
And y'all here because y'all have seen my commitment to the community. You've seen my love for the community.
Yes, sir.
And that's what means the most. That's what means the most. This is an example of how communities can come together. my example is just not supposed to stop with me. It's supposed to continue with any brother or sister or brother that's in a situation where their life is on the line, especially if they deserve it. But what we all know is that mental health is affecting every single person in this room. How can it not be if we are a people who have dealt with centuries of generational trauma since we've been here? Or I'll say once it was invaded and then they enslaved us, because we were doing great things according to the history that I learned. We were already doing great things here in this so-called place called America. And I would say too, a lot of my trauma has come from so much that I have read. This book up here being one of them, Post-Traumatic Slave Syndrome. And finding out the atrocities, the generational atrocities, what has happened to our children, what has happened to our mothers. I mean, gruesome, buck breaking, breeding farms. When I say buck breaking, I mean raping black men in front of their families. Breeding farms, literally, they stopped importing slaves into this country because they was able to breed us enough to the point where they didn't no longer have to bring us in. So even if you didn't go through slavery now, it's in your blood. It's in your DNA.
Yes, sir.
Because those ancestors that came before us, we wouldn't be here if it wasn't for those ancestors. So it's already a study on trauma, of how trauma can literally be passed from a mother to the baby. So if we have these ancestors in our blood, and we all know that we have never received a break in this country, we've never received a rehabilitative period, we've never been received any kind of reparations, even though we built the nation for free. If anything, the most successful people in this country should be the ones who built it. But it's the opposite. I've been a person, I have spent my life walking around the streets of Baltimore, and every day, the way I made my living was being around drug addicts, being around people who have been raped, manipulated, used, seeing that every single day, but then going around the corner and seeing East Harbor, seeing the City Hall, seeing the Raven Stadium. But literally right across the street from there is a drug market, and it's all black. So, you know, you got to understand, seeing these kind of things over and over, how can it not affect you? When you talk about child abuse, child molestation, when you talk about just constantly receiving trauma over and over and over and over, and ignoring it, or trying to appear to be strong, but not really dealing with it. What else do you expect a person to do after that long? You know, so when I understand even our brothers out here that are constantly, to me, just being picked off. They're being picked off because they're trying to survive, but they're also being picked off because this environment has been created for them, right? This situation, these dilapidated communities have been created on purpose. So when you understand that, and you don't take the time to heal, you don't take the time to deal with the abuse, to deal with the trauma, what else will a person wind up doing? What else will they wind up doing? I will share this. When I got out of jail, I went immediately to Shepherd Pratt. I thought Shepherd Pratt was a place where people was walking around with nightgowns on and running into walls and drooling and just looking like a crazy movie. That's what I thought. But actually, when I went there, it was rehabilitative for me. One, because I had the opportunity to take a break on the everyday hustle of just trying to make it, the everyday hustle, just trying to make it. So that break, along with decent food, along with decent housing, a nice bed. It wasn't dirty. It was clean. It was modern. Going through that, and then the therapy, going through that was wonderful. And I wonder how many more of us need that. Right? Some of us, we are on the verge of breaking, but we are worrying about how somebody's gonna look at you. And then you might get yourself into a point where it gets so bad where people are gonna be looking at you because you're gonna be in a situation where it can't be ignored. So going through that, I would recommend anyone that's feeling like they're having to make mental breakdown, have no fear in going to get help from a place like Shepherd Pratt. I can't speak of the other ones, but I can speak about Shepherd Pratt. Shepherd Pratt was tremendous, phenomenal in helping me just rehabilitate and take some time out.
Yes, sir.
I will always share that story. I will share that story with young brothers my age, because I know what they're going through. I will always promote that.
Yes, sir.
I'm not gonna hold everybody much longer, but I just want to say, this journey is life changing. Y'all thought I was something then. When I make it through this, I'm gonna really be something.
Hey, go it now.
I'm gonna really be something. So I appreciate y'all. I love y'all. I'm gonna stay strong because y'all strong, and as long as we strong, we gonna stay strong.
Yeah.
It's a brother over here.
Okay.
Let me
I think we got a comment over there. We almost at our time. Thank you, Brother K. Mose.
We got a brother right here.
Okay.
Will the panel have his last words at the end?
Go.
Yeah. In the name of the Most High, in the name of the Most High God, ancestor, pardon me, my elder, may I speak? May I? Sister Gwen?
Yes.
May I speak?
Of course. Yes.
Thank you. So I wanted to do that way because one of our challenges is we're disconnected from who we are, our natural selves.
Yes, sir.
Right? We talked a lot about slavery and what it's done to us. Is nobody can debate any of that. That's absolutely all correct. So then what should we do then, since we know that? That becomes the question. We've had great men and women come before us to guide us, to give us the right path, to give us what we should already be following. We've had the Honorable Marcus Mosiah Garvey. We've had the great Harriet Tubman. We've had the Honorable Elijah Muhammad. So we have what we need in terms of direction, if you will, right? So I open, first of all, the name of the Most High God. Because if we're not giving credit and honor to God, then how are we going to honor ourselves and each other? If we're not giving honor to our ancestors, first and foremost, how are we honoring each other? We're not. So I want to bring the ancestor into the room, Dr. Amos Wilson. Dr. Amos Wilson being one of the foremost psychologists of our time. In my opinion, one of the greatest minds of the 20th century, because not only was he a great psychologist, understanding the depth of the trauma that has happened to us, but he was also an economist. He also understood the nature and situation that was being pressed upon us. He also brought us back to some realities that we keep seemingly forgetting. Like we're going to be acting outside of ourselves in a construct that is built to crush and kill us on a continuous basis. And if we don't then act accordingly and do something different, then we're going to keep doing the same thing. So my sister Earth has kept saying the we. So we've been working on developing that we. And Projects Millions More's movement as an offset right here in the city of Baltimore to create what we need for us, what we've been talking about tonight. So Projects Million More movement is a hub. I heard my brother say spokes, hubs. It's a hub organization. We don't ask anybody to stop doing what you're doing. We're not asking anybody to not join, keep your thing going. But we're acting now as a group that is trying to synergize our energies so that we can concentrate like a nation state does, right? Because we were taught nationhood. What does a nation do? You got an army, you got a navy, you have Marines, you have Air Force. They're not all doing the same thing. You got scientists, you got doctors, you got lawyers. They're not all doing the same thing. But in our own greatness right here, we have everything we need. What we lack is what Mr. Garvey said was organization. He said, organize, organize, organize. We're disorganized. Then when we have organization, the same thing, because I'm a member of a lot of organizations. I sit on board. I see the same drama among us constantly. Constantly. Brother said we don't trust each other. Well, how can we fix that? Because we say it all the time. You know how we fix that? We fix that by going back to our original principles. Mosiah, 7 principles. Very, very simple. The essence and foundation of life. The Most High created everything in what principle? What's the first principle? Truth. Truth is the first principle. Everything is created in truth. The universe is truth. The earth is truth. It's truth. But everything that's created by the enemy is a lie. That's why lies flourish. You don't know what's true anymore. They made telling lies real, right? False news, fake news. What should I believe? I have no idea, because what is it? So truth is the first thing. Being truthful with ourselves. Being honest in men and women. Brother, you say we don't trust each other. It's true. Guess how we start? We developed a short, simple code of conduct, right? You know why other communities flourish? Not that you don't have good people and bad people. People don't mess up. People do wrong. We all gonna make mistakes. But then what do we do when we make a mistake? Accountability. We got to be able to challenge each other in righteousness, right? Those 7 principles have an order to them, by the way, right? Truth, balance, justice, order, reciprocity, propriety, righteousness. Righteousness is at the end, because without the other ones, you don't have no righteousness. Without truth, you have no foundation. You can't get justice without balance. So it has an order that we have to follow. So what I'm saying is, as I'm finishing, is we have to put upon us very simply what we want. If we don't have, if our economic situation, you know why these young brothers out here, they need money, they need jobs. Brother said they feel like nobody cares. I guess so, because at the elders, us, we have failed them. Period. Let's be truthful with ourselves. We have failed them. We haven't built anything for our children, because that's what we're supposed to do, right? We're supposed to be building something for our future generations, but we're all worried about what we can get right now. That's the truth. So we built a company, and I'm not here to sell that to you, but we said it's simple. I give back money to Projects Million More's movement. I said, put me on the table, put me on the spotlight, hold me accountable. I won't take your money. I won't steal. Muhammad, you say you won't give back? Let's see the books. I said, I show the books. We got almost no support in truth, but everybody wiping their butt. It's a fact. So we have a code of ethics. We're seeking to follow it, but the next thing is how we going to enforce it. Because you already know, because we don't value ourselves, we'll break from each other very easily and simply, because we don't feel that there's going to be a recourse. If I was a Korean and I steal from Koreans as a Korean, they're going to put me out of the circle, and they're going to punish me and my whole family. That's how we have to be. We have to have order and law and justice within and among ourselves, respected by us. Then nobody would mess with us, because we'd be so tight and we'd be so honoring. We don't even have to love each other to do any of this, by the way. We don't even have to be friends to do this. We have a common interest. And lastly on this, we keep talking about these babies. Please, somebody in the room tell me, after we know about slavery, after we know about mental conditioning, after we know that these schools everywhere where African people are, were built to colonize your mind first. Why in the hell do we keep sending our children to these same institutions? Why aren't we building our own schools? You telling me we love black people? I love black, but you won't put some money together and get a pool of money to put some schools together? Hell, some Saturday schools first.
Yes.
Where we teaching our culture, our education, and knowledge of self and history. We can't get a damn Saturday school right here in this room. I'm challenging everybody here. Let's get some money together and get a Saturday school. Right. If you don't say that, you won't do that. You won't put no money together for the babies. Everybody here is a damn liar. You're lying. Because you say you love and you want, but you won't do it for the babies. That's outside of me. That's outside of you. Let's do that. And we got ways to get money today. Because the God and the ancestors have blessed us with the technology to get it. So all these excuses, we're going to eliminate them one by one. You got an excuse, we're going to find you a solution to it. I say.
Wow, wow, wow. Family, this is a beautiful day. It's a beautiful day because we are here. You hear how the ethers have been stirred up. And I have to remind again, as we've been drawing strength from, we heard about wheels. We heard about spokes. We heard about the center. We heard about, well, I don't know if y'all heard it the same way I did, but I heard love. I heard a lot of it because y'all talking about coming together, conquering, we can do anything and greater. I heard so many great things. So, again, we plan to come out of this with something. And as we've been taught by the elders, going to them, because we already came through them. So that's why it's no coincidence why we're here. So as we're now together, we're here. And they say, slow down now. Slow down now. Be grateful. Express that gratitude. So that's where, again, we go back to that one source. It's all in our center, different languages, different traditions. We like, you know what? No, that's a must. That's a must. Okay, that's one of our superpowers. It helps unlock some stuff. And then in that way of truth, you know, we're going through some stuff. Trauma is the other side of the T word. Truthfully, we're going through it. Even though we're working through it, we still have some more to work through. The example that brought us here together, whether we knew each other, planned to get to know someone, we knew we had a duty to do. There was a call and we answered it. This is my brother. This is our brother. This is me. This is you. This is our child. I'm not a parent yet, but I know y'all have children. I don't know. I didn't claim some. And this is a parent as well. So we're seeing a cycle again. Some that have seen it before me. Some that have seen many sunrises and sunsets before. Okay, so when we're together, we pull all of this together in that way of, because we're so smart, key words, nation state. And see, that's some type of unity right there. You can be all types of different. What you are one in those, as a nation, whatever state you find yourself in, we're in a state of calamity. We have made it so far beyond physical enslavement that we're able to talk about our own insanity. And I know there was a big push for some to vote, to do everything that's available anytime. We show up. And then realize, oh, it's not enough. Now, you know, the numbers are simple. If we 14 to 20%, y'all ain't winning no election by yourself. Now, when we stick together, that simple little hand becomes a fist. That has always been the power. It's always been mental. It's always been spiritual. It's always been us. Moreover, that will, y'all talk about a will. Let's keep it real. It's active. That will ain't nothing when it's stagnant. What's wrong with it? It's supposed to be on something. Is it 4 wheels, 2 wheels, rolling? Is it flat? Because I got a pump. So we talked about movement here. We talked about us. We talked about a duty. We talked about what we know is available for the future. You know, the children, if we really care about something, No, we're not gonna point the way. We're gonna clear that way, kick it down, show them how to do it, pull them kicking and screaming until they find themselves in it. That groove. Because the goal is for it not to be as hard as it is for us, for them. That's when all of our traditions find this harmony. We know that we must have been family because I feel it here today. But I'm bringing this together because this is our opportunity to support our brother, legal defense. Again, let's start with what we can work with. Finances, support our personal commitments, anything we can think of creatively, effectively. Our brother, the father, the son, sister, nation, state. Well, with the mentality we plan to leave here with, because we actually came here with it, we don't give ourselves enough credit. Situations, problems, trauma. We're not going to let him be the sacrificial lamb. Yeah, I'm going to bring it all back together from the hair root to the God that's in you to the ones we know that did it, and thus we must do it too. They said it, not me. I read the stuff. And I learned it from powerful, bold, loving ones like you that saw something in me because you saw it in you. I don't know how you got it, but I'm glad that I got the benefit of it. So we're not going to waste this moment. He's not our sacrificial lamb because between resurrections and they ain't tell the story right and some other things, here we are. And the story of us has never been, you can't find a beginning and we ain't talking about an ending. So as our brother said, when he makes it through this, which will be with our commitments, our activity, because we know we are spokes, we are clips, we are something on that wheel that is so real that is going to move us beyond calamity, but only if we move it. That wheel is just a wheel until we make it do what it's supposed to do. So let's dig deep. Let's dig deep the way we did to show up here, the way we do it at the meetings, but we know where the real work goes. It's not just the meeting. It's not just the showing up. It's not just the dollars or the cash app. We just broke a new world record for spending stuff. And at the same time lost the rank in being something that they was measuring us for. I'm not trying to confuse them. We already know it before. But we're here. And we in the 11 building didn't need no names, no cookout, no nothing. Is a problem. We're responding. If that ain't natural. So I want to give honors to all of you. And also draw attention to the generations, all the ancestors that are with us that paved the way for us to be here today. Find them in you. Find them in yourself, because we're in a situation like you need some help. But that's why we're here today. That's why we're going to keep showing up. We're going to be creative. We ain't not clocking out once we leave here. It's bigger than the dollar. It's always in the street. There's always something against us. But again, that thing we know is God, or just that thing called love. Because that'd be concrete and ever great thing for us. Let's do it. Let's do it. Love y'all.
There's no better way to end than this. I need everybody to come around me. Please, everybody. Come around me.
Yes, sir.
Brother Carmos, I need you to come to the middle.
Just wanted to let you know that the host of this show appreciates the time that you've spent with them. Now, don't forget to like, share, comment, and subscribe to our channel so you can keep up with everything that we're doing. And most of all, thank you for tuning in to What Up Baltimore online radio, where the people have the power.